Welcome to another episode of Interviews with Wild People, where I interview people who have gone through tremendous healing in their lives, stories that defy the odds of transformation, where people go through incredible trauma and somehow come out transformed to live a life better than before, embodying their calling, embodying their passion. This, for me, is the true definition of success. The interview you're about to watch is an interview I recorded with a woman named Roberta, who has actually been working with me for the past 6 months. And I wanted to share this because this is a person in my life that I treasure deeply, and it has shown me really what's actually possible through the work that I do personally. She came to me about 6 months ago feeling completely broken, out of touch with her inner child, out of touch with her body, not really knowing how to play, not knowing how to breathe, how to feel, feeling disconnected from her body. Her entire life, she had been working her butt off for nothing, conditioned that you have to work hard to make money and just not enjoy life. And she was at a point where she was completely cut off from her joy, not really knowing what her calling or purpose was, completely shut off also from men and her sensuality. And she knew that she wanted something different. And so we began this work together, and she has transformed over these past 6 months into this incredible being, which you're about to see in this interview, full of love, full of life, full of joy, pursuing her passion, pursuing her love for life. And money is just following her hand over fist, as she puts it, from all directions. So I am so honored to share this interview with you. Let's cut right to it.
Okay, so this began, well, way before we met, I'm sure. But so I was a workaholic. I was working 12-hour night shifts, and I would work like for 22 nights in a row, that sort of thing. And all I did was work, eat, sleep, and repeat. So my life was shitty because I didn't know how to do anything except work. When I connected with you, I just couldn't, I couldn't go back to work. My cousin had come to visit, and then I was supposed to go to work, but I canceled a couple of days, and then I just couldn't go to work. When I thought about going to work, it was like this big anxiety and freak out feeling that just I couldn't go to work. And so I was working, like, I think that's right about the time that we started working together, you helping or assisting me. And it went from feeling so guilty about like not going to work. I felt so guilty that I wasn't going to work. And I just thought my life had to be work, 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 because I don't know, I didn't feel that I had any value unless I was producing something. And for me, that was going to work, because all my life I've been taught you got to work hard, and mostly mine is you got to work hard for very little. And so that's exactly what I was experiencing in my life. And then we worked together, and I don't know how the transformation came about, but holy crap pile, man. My life is so much better now. And so from February to now, yeah, it's about 6 months. But so now I still have jobs, and I applied for other jobs, and I got them all. And I said, well, okay, so this is back a few months. So I keep texting these new companies and saying, well, something's come up, and I won't be there till mid-July now. And they're okay with that. But so since we've been working together, and I don't know how to describe it, but my life, I don't feel guilty about not going to work. I'm not going to work. I spent just about a month, 24 days in Costa Rica. And what else have I been doing? I've been visiting my family, which is one of my joys. Now I have 3 dogs. I don't have a clue why, but like I bought a Yorkie and I really liked it, so I bought another one. Just like it's kind of like going where the flow is. Oh, and another thing is all the freaking money. Like It's like um it just like it's like open up your arms and here I'll send you some more. It like everything. I'll tell you a really cool thing about how money came to me. So I figured, oh, I'm going to go traveling for a month or two. So I'd put up my apartment. It's a 2-bedroom apartment in the middle of Salmon Arm. So it's very nice, and there's a bunch of lakes and things to do around there. It's very touristy in the summer. So I put an ad on Kijiji or Facebook or something to rent my place for $500 a week, which is reasonable for a B&B type situation. And on Facebook or wherever I put the ad, people were horrible, saying that, why would you charge so much like that in all this economy, and blah, 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 attacking me, right? So I took the ad off, and I was going to defend myself, and I think I did a couple of times, but then I took the ad off, and within 3 or 4 days, a friend of mine says, hey, can I rent one of your rooms for one of my workers? She's an agency that supplies people to facilities. And I said, yeah, $500 a week. And she said, awesome. And so it happened. And then I thought, well, I was leaving anyway. Do you want to rent another room? And so, yeah, she did. And so that's just how like things switched up for me. Like, that's, yeah, I don't know how to describe that, except that's like not getting too involved in anything other than being open to receiving. And I don't think in the past that I was very open to receiving. I don't think since before, like for a long time before I met you, I think I had shut down. I think I had closed off opportunities. I had closed off joy. I definitely did not know how to play. And so all of those things have really opened up for me. And yeah, now I'm like I'm visiting family right now, and I'm actually caretaking or guardian for my sister's place and all her critters. And like I just sit here and I look out the window, and it's like sitting in the middle of paradise, right? They've got a beautiful spot surrounded by trees, and all like horses and a donkey and some steers and cats and dogs. Like the art, or like that song. More than you've ever seen. But yeah, so my life really, since working with you, Kacper, has been wonderful. Do you want to hear that other story about the trip to Tennessee?
Yeah, how does that?
Well, okay. So I'll be really very vulnerable or real here. So in the past, like I always thought like exchanging, okay, so I had this crazy idea, and it's probably from the way I was raised, that sort of thing, that if a guy took me on a date and they paid for supper and something, that I owed them, right? And so I had this feeling like of prostitution in my psyche somewhere. And so that was kind of very interesting. And we did a session on that, one session. And I think it changed my whole attitude about accepting gifts, especially gifts from men.
Wow.
Because, yeah, it did. Because like, I think I did mention this a little bit to you. But anyway, so this guy, I know him, but we're not in a relationship or anything like that. We're just friends. And every once in a while he says, you want to go somewhere? And I said, yeah, if you're paying, I'll go. Actually, I didn't say that before when I was thinking about the prostitution thing, but now, so he just invited me to Nashville, Tennessee for a week to go to the music stuff. And in the past, I would be thinking, okay, what am I going to owe you? Like, do you expect me to sleep with you or all the dynamics of that type of thing. And this time I'm just like, yes, are you paying for it? And he said, I don't know. So he wasn't sure if he was going to pay for it or not. I said, if you're paying, I'll go, which I would never have said in the past. And so, and this is important because it changed so much about the way I perceived relationships with men, right? And how I thought about relationships with a man. And so when I said, yes, if you'll pay for it, I'm in, I'll go. And then, so he kind of said that I should pay for it. And I thought, well, I can't right now. I've been to Costa Rica and, I gotta go bank in some money again, save stockpile it. And so anyway, what came about is, so I texted him and I basically said, you may as well spend this money. We may as well go to Nashville together. You may as well pay for my trip, kind of thing, because we're going to have a lot of fun and we're going to have that freedom just to, where you feel, oh yeah, I got some company, and, you can have a better time than go in by yourself. And so like, we may as well, because otherwise you're just going to leave that money to your kids. And where's the joy in that? Like, let's do something fun with your money. And so that's the difference in me. Well, it might be an accumulation from the 6 months of work, but definitely from that one session about where I was feeling kind of like I was prostituting myself if I was accepting gifts from a guy. So what a wild transformation that was for me. And it's, the thing is to actually see it and notice it.
Yeah.
Notice the difference.
Yeah, and that's what it's like when you start to really tap into abundance. It just starts appearing from everywhere. From duality, you could always say, "Oh, I'm over here," and that's someone else offering me something, but it's actually just you gifting it to yourself. And we can really, really open, we can accept and just let it flow through us, right? And so it really feels to me like you're just this bundle of joy right now. I'm like really, really honored to be working with you and to see this shining through your eyes, and just how you're creating right now. Like everything is just this creative process. Let this go, this vibrates, that vibrates, So it's an honor, and it's making me also want to rise up my game, because I'm going like, oh my gosh, like you got to coach me on this right now. And I love being in that place of just pure creativity. So I'm curious also, how do you relate to yourself? Because a lot of people watching this might be thinking like, oh, this is great, it's possible for this person, this transformation, but I don't know if this would be for me. Or I have so much darkness or so much trauma that I've been dealing with. I know when we first started, there was a lot of trauma, there's a lot of just like guilt and shame that you were carrying, with a lot of the things that you've been through in the past. And I think for a lot of people, they feel like their story is too big to release, like, oh, you don't know what I've been through, but you've been through some crazy shit in your life. So I'm curious.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let me just refine this question. How do you feel in terms of your connection emotionally to yourself, to your self-love before and now?
Before, I don't think I had an ounce of self-love. So a little bit of my background is like, I was raised by alcoholic father, overeating mother. They fought like cats and dogs. The house was such a chaotic mess, like as far as the energy went. And I started running away from home when I was 13, but I really managed to run away from home when I was 14. And yeah, it was just chaos. So like, I didn't love myself. I was people pleaser. I was trying to, trying to find love in all the wrong places. that kind of thing. That really strikes home. These songs are incredible. And yeah, and I have been raped and shit like that. So like if you think your trauma is that you can't heal from that, or what however you worded that, Kacper, it's like yeah, shit happens to all of us. I know I didn't love myself. And, you know, somebody who's a workaholic, like I was 6 months ago, and I was trying to prove my value or prove my worth, I guess, through work, that, you know, I'm important, I'm significant. And now understanding that I am valuable and I am significant, and it doesn't depend on what I'm doing externally. I think that has been really, really helpful in me coming to a place where I can love myself and be okay with the part of me that says, you know, I really hate that, or I really don't like that, or any anger or anxiety that's inside me. And I can say, and I love that, because that is saying I'm okay with who I am, and I love me, and I'm okay that I'm being bitchy or judgmental, and it's okay because I love me anyway. So, you know, like some of the tools are just, well, so valuable, right? And so simple and easy to use. And that is the biggest thing, because if it's not simple and easy to use, most people forget how to do it or forget it's there and available. But that is so simple. Yeah. So it's made a huge impact for me. And yeah, helped me love myself a whole lot more, because I think I was judging myself more than I judged anybody else ever, right?
Yeah. And when you're in that judgment of yourself, constantly trying to get out of it, trying to get value by doing something externally, nothing really works for you, because it's just not grounded in joy and in love. And so
yeah.
you've come so far from the person I knew you 6 months ago to where you are now. I'm just so excited for what's ahead of you. And thank you so much for sharing this story. And what I found funny about working with you is like pretty much every single thing that you projected into the future has happened. And that tends to happen with this kind of work. So I'm curious, where are you going now, 6 months from now? What's your vision, and what are some of the things that are coming your way and unfolding?
6 months from now, I am running my medical hypnotherapy academy. I love that I've attracted doctors and nurses, psychiatrists and psychologists to come and utilize hypnotherapy, learn how to use it, and make it happen for their clients, because it speeds up the healing process and a whole bunch of different you can use it in so many ways, right? And so that's on my agenda, and probably traveling a lot more. Like at the end of this month, I'm going to a wedding in Toronto, but so now I'm going to say I'm figuring out the details, but I'm not really figuring out the details, because I'm just going to go. And also writing, like I'm in the process of writing 2 books, life story or memoirs or whatever they are. It's just for my kids, right? I want, you know, because they say that, you know, like the next 2 generations after you pass, nobody knows who the hell you are. And every life that is lived is worth recording. Absolutely. Every life has little tidbits and value. Well, of course it has value, otherwise you wouldn't be living it. And regardless if you see the value or not, there is value, and I want to share that. And I guess I want to be alive for a few more years after I've gone. Who knows, right? Mm.
I love your mug. Best grandmother ever. Uh,
Yeah.
Well, Roberta, it's such a joy to have you on. I mean, if people watching could just meet you 6 months ago and meet you now, it'd be unrecognizable. You know, I remember talking to you 6 months ago. You were just a different person. Even you were just glowing right now. And I'm
You
not
know,
saying,
Kacper,
yeah.
even my voice has changed. Like my like my voice used to be uptight,
Mhm.
and now it's not anymore. Sometimes it gets that uptight feeling once in a while, so I know that's a good indicator for me. But my voice before was stressed.
Mhm.
And yeah, you know, and that's how people get disease, right?
Yeah, yeah. I remember you were very worried, very closed down, and all of a sudden it's been like month after month after month of amazing shifts. So it's been incredibly inspiring for me to watch, incredibly inspiring on my own journey, because we all have continuous journeys in this process. And it's just to see and be reminded of how joy can just really guide us in our lives. And we tend to think that no, we have to figure it all out up here. We have to control life. We have to know what to do. And we don't generally want to take risks unless we see resources coming first. But you've just been showing us how, like, you just take one leap after the other, resources come to support you, and you can actually go out and enjoy your life and do the things that you really want to do, not the things that you think you have to do. And I remember that was one of the greatest points of misery for you before. It was like, I just don't want to do what I'm doing and I don't even know what to do, right? And now you're
Yeah.
starting medical centers, buying puppies, going to art classes, going dancing, traveling to Costa Rica. And at an age where most people would choose to just shut down and give up on life after they've been through so much of what you've been through.
Yeah, my life is getting better and better every day. It's and you know, when you mentioned that not having to have a plan, and well, and that's from the surrender experiment, right? But that's also what you teach. And so it's like, it's really not that easy sometimes to kind of get out of your head. And because something was said yesterday about, oh, just what's the next step that's right for you? That was your words, kind of. But, you know, what's the next step that feels right for you? And, you know, that's such a, it sounds very simple and uncomplicated, but you know what? That's one of the best questions a person can ask themselves. What's the next step that is right for you? It's a quit thinking about everybody else. Quit thinking about like where the resource is going to come from. Quit thinking about everything except what's going to feel good for you. You know, and that's such an important shift in my life because I don't know how I got to where I was thinking the other way, but like you've really helped me get back to being me. So yeah, I think we get lost because we're bombarded with everything from society. And so when we can get back to being centered and kind of what's right for me, then we've got it made. And so your work is really, really valuable. And I don't know if anybody sees, I'm sure they do, otherwise you wouldn't have clients, but you know, but really sees the value and really understands like, okay, this is so simple, but you have to be here and do it. Yeah. So I would like to say thank you to you because you brought me back home.
Well, thank you. You did all the work. I'm just here to assist you in the journey.
Yeah. And I get that. Like I totally do because I have to do the stuff, right? I know that. But at the same time, you know, um, I don't know if it was Bob Proctor, if it's Anthony Robbins, or somebody out there says, you know, you should always have a coach. Because we don't see what's going on in our lives. And I have had a coach most of maybe for the past 10 years, but I'd have a coach for a year and then quit for 6 months, have a coach for 6 months, quit for a year, that kind of thing. But, like, honestly, a person should always have a coach, because it keeps you on track with, like, if it's a good coach, keeps you on track with who you are. And I've had business coaches where it's just focused on business. And that's great and wonderful. But you know what, Kacper? Any day of the week, I would prefer this type of coaching to the other kind of coaching, because this is about who we are and how to be authentic and how to be us, instead of, okay, how to run this business, how to run that business. And you know what? That other stuff will come when we're centered, just like I told you one time. So now I'm making money hand over fist kind of thing, and I'm not even working. Like, how freaking awesome is that? And that's like from 6 months ago, working like 22 days straight, 12-hour night shifts, to now I'm not, but they still have money coming in. And sometimes it still terrifies me, right? I'm not working, I better go to work. Why do you still think like that? Why do you go back into that old program? Come on, smarten up. But yeah, I don't know how to explain that one, except like, just keep ignoring that.
Well, you're also loving it and dissolving it, right? The oldest programs that will come up and then come up. The closer you get to the bottom of it, the more convincing they'll be. Like, no, you really should go for it now, right?
Yeah, because because that does, like, well, and like, okay, so here's another story. So my sister watched my one of my dogs for 24 days while I was in Costa Rica. And so then I come here and I'm watching their place while they go to Vernon and visit their family for a week. But they got a lot more animals than I do, right? That's their thinking. And because, like, I was just fair exchange, right? You watch my dog, I'll watch your place. It doesn't matter to me, right? And then they give me a check before they leave. And I'm thinking, well, I can't cash this. I don't want that. But after a couple of days thinking on it, and I think it was something that was said with you or in one of the programs about, like, just take what the receivership in the quadrants. So, okay, I'm going to receive that. And so there was still some kind of messy feelings around that. And so, I'm okay with that. Always have those messy feelings and move on.
So you're receiving, money showing up left, right, and center.
And so you're like, I think we've got so programmed with what we've experienced in life and how society expects us to run our lives that we see no alternative. There's absolutely no way you can do it any other way than what society says, until you get into a program like this. There you go. And that's the truth, my truth. And I'm sure it could be for a lot of other people.
Thank you so much, Roberta. Thanks one to no one. You've incredible courage to move through this stuff. It's been potent. I'm curious, what's been the hardest part of this journey for you?
Not going to work.
I expected you to say, like, yeah, when we released that, like, big trauma around that thing, we were like, not working.
Okay, Kacper. So, like, I've been working since I'm 10 years old for other people. and working hard for very little money, picking 10-year-old out in the sun, picking roots and rocks in a dusty field for hours, piling rocks in little piles so that my brother on the tractor could come and load them up onto the wagon. And then my aunt, the angel of light, comes every so often with some water and a sandwich. And so I was making, I don't know if it was 25 cents an hour or 50 cents an hour. When I was 12 years old, I was working in the neighbor's bees every summer. And so 12 to 14, roughly, a couple of summers, making $1 for a 45-gallon barrel of honey. And I was the hot knifer. So take a honeycomb with a hot knife, scrape the wax off, and put it in the spinner, gravity machine, whatever, extractor. That's what they were called. You know how long in a good day, like with lots of honey and the top of the season, you might get a barrel filled in a day, but most of the time it took a few days or more. So that's slave fucking labor. Then working in restaurants, washing dishes for like what was the minimum wage at that time, $2, $2.15 or something, $2.75. So all my life, I have worked very, very hard for money, for very little money. So now when I'm just bringing in money kind of like so easily, it's kind of like there's something in me that says you got to be working and like get to work, like like go to work, like what the fuck's wrong with you, go to work, you know, you can't have all this money if you're not working. And it's so like it's like to release all those old programs about having to work very hard for very little, and that's what I was doing, 12-hour night shifts. And yeah, I'm getting a better wage, but I'm taking care of seniors, and they're very, very demanding. And like it's a good dollar, but the work is still hard. And so now to be where I am, so like it's just like a freaking miracle. Like to be making money without working, like come on.
Yeah, because it's reflecting the vibration inside of you is being reflected right now. Like I think it's the hardest things to understand, and I'm still learning this too, is that money actually isn't this pure evil. It's pure love. It's pure love, because the only thing that's here is you, the source, your love for life, and money will reflect that state of consciousness. So it's like to the degree that you believe how the system works is how it will reflect back to you. It's wild. Like, okay, I believe in hard work. Okay, the money then reflects that to you, and you're just living and breathing that example right now. And those old programs, you're still hearing them right now, but you're not actually going along with them, you know. And so I like the saying that the dragon always screams the loudest when you're not feeding it. And so it just continues to scream and scream until it's just no longer part of you. Yeah.
Sorry about that. Yeah. So, you know, that is one of my one of the biggest things to overcome was like going to work.
Tell me what's about your vision. And this is something I also want to hear about because this is new for you. Before it was work, work, work and make money, but now it feels like it's purpose, 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 and money showing up. And now you're talking about this vision with this medical hypnotherapy center, and you can see your body just lighting up when you talk about it. And so what's that like? What do you feel is behind that vision for you? And tell us about the vision.
It's about like, we're so powerful. Like, we are so powerful. And this is a prime example of, okay, not going to work and yet you still attract money. What the heck, right? And so the hypnotherapy is mindset and attitude and what you tell yourself, all the things kind of like we're doing in a way, just a different form of it, right? And so, you know, you like I've had enough clients, and I know enough hypnotists who have had results like the tumors disappear, uh, a a break, like a break in your femur that, you know, would take so long to heal, like heals perfectly within a couple of weeks compared to 6 or 10, right? So many different stories that prove and validate this tool, because that's what it is, right? And so I would love, like, just to communicate this, or so enriching a doctor's life or a nurse's life by, hey, here's something, and all it takes is the way you verbalize to your client or your patients in what's going on for them. So, and say, instead of saying this is a long, slow process to get recover from, you know, oh, this is going to just be easy peasy kind of thing, and you're going to flow through this and you're going to get better so fast you'll think it's a miracle. That's how simple it is, right? To word something differently. And I want people to know that. And I want people in the medical industry to know it.
Seeing your response and how lit up your body is, I can tell you're going to do it. And that's what a lot of people don't understand, and what we teach in Embracing Prosperity is like starting with that purpose first. You know, we reach out for money, we want things to change, we think money is the source of our happiness, and that's why it never comes, because we're chasing it. We are at a point right now where you're just feeling the aliveness of the purpose of the vision, and it's just fueling you. So
right, so whenever I get in my truck and I'm driving for more than like 15 minutes, which is just about every time I get in my truck, I'm doing that Kaligo on what I want to have experience in my life, but I've already experienced. And frick, that works like a charm.
yeah, especially when you bring your heart into it, and the feelings, you know, without being attached to the outcome.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
so you know, that's like the vision board, like fine to have a vision board up on your wall just to kind of look at and remind yourself. But you know what? They would never, ever work as well as verbalizing the excitement and the joy that you've already experienced in having what you want. So like my medical hypnotherapy business has gone international. It went global. I have attracted doctors and nurses and psychiatrists and psychologists from all over the world, and they are participating in the Medical Hypnotherapy Academy, learning phenomenal stuff to assist their patients in being the way, like in health.
Roberta, thanks so much for sharing so much of your light here today, your story and your joy. It's just absolutely contagious, the sense of adventure that you have right now. What would be some parting words, if you have any words for anybody thinking of joining us in this work? Thoughts?
Yeah, just do it. Just jump in with both feet, you know, and be here. And I'm like, you know, some aspect of it is going to work for you, because there's so many different things, right? And give it a chance. Like, just jump in and give it the chance that it deserves to, and that you deserve. Like, people deserve to have the best in life. And I think we get so lost in trying to live the way other people think we should live, or the way society expects us or thinks we should live, that we forget that there's other ways to do things. So it's like, here you are stuck in this box, societal box, or, you know, your programs. Jump out of the fucking box. Like, you know, maybe I should have not swore, but who cares? Jump out of that box, you know, get some, like, and the thing about this is it has to be easy. Otherwise people won't want to do it. And this is easy. Like easy. How hard is it to say, oh God, I hate that thing that person is doing, and I love that I hate that? How easy is that? How easy is it to say, oh yeah, like 5 years ago, I started my medical hypnotherapy academy, and today it has it brings in millions of dollars because it's global. Doctors and nurses from all over the world are coming here to learn this stuff. How freaking amazing is that? Like, it's little tools that do it, and you've got them. So yeah, jump in.
Hey, I hope you enjoyed that interview. And if you want to join me and Roberta and other awesome people from all over the world in a similar journey of self-discovery, of coming into alignment of what your joy and purpose actually is, if you want to challenge the status quo of, do you have to work hard for money, or is it actually possible to follow your bliss, follow your joy, your passion, and have money actually follow you? If you're interested in that kind of lifestyle, then check out the link down below. I've created a free course and a free online community that's here to assist you in doing exactly that. This free course will actually show you how to align with your joy, meaning discover what your joy actually is. What are you here to do on this planet? What does it actually mean to finally start loving yourself and doing the things that your soul, that your heart truly desires for you? And what happens when you do that? If you're curious, check that link down below. You'll get access to the course down there. And if not, thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.